Welcome to Luxuriously Poor. Hope you give this a thumbs up. Hope you watch it to the end. And today I want to give you a step-by-step guide on how I shape my loaf of bread. Now this is a really nice, tall, beautiful loaf of bread. And I want you to understand something. Every loaf of bread you make is probably not going to be the same. Every bag of flour you buy is not the same as the last bag of flour. Sometimes one loaf of bread will rise much higher than another. And the reason I pick this certain type of bread is I don't care for sourdough bread. You have to always have a starter on hand, and you've always got to feed it, and you end up having to throw some of the starter out or figuring out what you're going to do with it. And I just think that is too complicated in our hectic worlds for today. And so to me, this is bread, simple, easy, and a perfect loaf. This is my 7-quart Dutch oven that I will be baking my bread in this. I do not use parchment paper. I put a little olive oil in the bottom and I will rub it all around on the inside of this pan. And I also do not preheat my Dutch oven. I will put my dough into this cold. I don't preheat it. Okay, what I want to do now is show you how I shape the loaf of bread. When you're making bread and you're doing things, you learn and learn better and better ways of doing it. As you can see, my bread has risen all the way to the top. Now first I'm going to deflate my bread. And I'm going to do that by turning it. I've showed you this before. And folding it over top of itself. Now I can't keep holding the camera and doing this, so I'm just going to do it, okay? And I'll come back. Now I have my surface floured. Pretty good. Now most of the recipes you see do not tell you to do this. They just tell you to dump it in there in that cast iron skillet. Or I shouldn't say skillet, the Dutch oven. But I like shaping mine. I think it's prettier. I think it makes a more even loaf for slicing. Makes it easier for you to make sandwiches with this bread. So I'm going to dump this bread out first. Okay, here it is. Now I'm going to stand up here because I am going to show you how I'm going to take this loaf, turn it on top of itself, until I shape it underneath on the top. And I'm doing this on the floured surface. Let me put my camera down. Because I want this, hold on. I want this to be shaped fairly nice on the top. You see how this is? So what I'm going to keep doing is tucking this under till I get the top of it shaped real pretty. You see? I want this to have a much nicer shape to it. And so I'm shaping it. Now I got a lot of flour on the top of this, but you see how this looks? You shape it with your hands in flour. And now I will put it into my Dutch oven. You see? And then I'll put my top on it. And we'll let it sit for a while. Now here is our beautiful loaf of bread. And I will have to admit, every time I make a loaf of bread, I remember the Lord's Prayer where He says, "Give us this day our daily bread." And I think of that every time I make a loaf of bread. And I am grateful to God for my bread, my daily bread. This is a beautiful loaf. I didn't have to use any parchment paper at all. This bread, if you cut it down the center. It will do 2 loaves. It makes 2 loaves of bread. And this is delicious, easy, as long as you got flour and yeast on hand. It's a beautiful bread. Well, God bless you guys, and may God supply your daily bread.